Welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, next week is the Salvation Army's Red Shield Appeal Week, and they are saying there are 225,000 children living in desperate need. As well as helping with poverty situations, the Salvation Army also offers many support services in addiction, welfare, problem gambling, employment training, accommodation, rehabilitation and bridging programs. Major Joanna Wardle says donating to the Sallies helps fund these important services and children who are in need of help.
I'd really encourage the public to donate to the Salvation Army because we really need your help so that we can continue to help families and individuals in their time of need. We've helped over 120,000 families and individuals each year. We want to help more, and we really need your help so that we can help break these cycles of poverty and help these families and individuals onto a brighter path in future.
Adults are battling whooping cough in the Bay of Plenty, making up half the number of patients suffering from the disease, according to the Bay of Plenty Medical Officer of Health. Dr Phil Shumack says there is a nationwide whooping cough outbreak and adults are responsible for a lot of the spread of infection. He says unfortunately our immune system is not perfect, and regardless of how you acquire immunity to whooping cough, that immunity doesn't usually last the rest of your life. They are now finding a number of adults who get whooping cough infection is not generally as severe as found in babies, so it's not recognised until they have spread the infection. The Rena disaster cost New Zealand government departments $46.8 million, according to figures released from the Treasury, well past the $27.6 million the ship's owners and insurers have paid in compensation. The breakdown of costs to government agencies published by the Treasury on Wednesday shows Maritime New Zealand paid the most from the MV Rena's grounding and subsequent oil spill. Maritime New Zealand spent $36.8 million dealing with the ship's grounding on Astrolabe Reef on October 5, 2011 and subsequent aftermath. The Tauranga MNZ leased the former Foodtown supermarket on Cameron Road, which became the headquarters of the response effort. At its height, it employed about 600 to 800 people. The second highest cost of $7.2 million was met by the New Zealand Defence Force, which deployed hundreds of Army personnel to help clean up the beaches, as well as 4 Navy vessels and a Seasprite helicopter. New Zealanders have once again dug deep and demonstrated their generosity to the SPCA and their work with less fortunate pets of New Zealand. The continuing results of the Animates Christmas Giving Tree campaign underlines the public's continued support towards the SPCA and the welfare of pets. Now in its 5th year, $46,862,000 was raised for the SPCA through Animates Giving Tree program, which will be invested in the SPCA's Saving Lives activity. 3 Waikato players have been named in the New Zealand Under-20 squad to travel to France in June for the IRB Junior World Championship. Hooker Haim Favi, University, loose forward Adam Byrne, Hamilton Old Boys, and outside back Joe Webber, Hamilton Marist, have all been selected in the 28-man squad. Webber and Byrne both made their Waikato debuts during last year's ITM Cup, while Favi has been a standout at a club and age group representative level over the past couple of seasons. There is also a further Waikato connection in the New Zealand Under-20 coaching staff. Waikato ITM Cup head coach Chris Gibbs is on board as an assistant coach, working alongside Chris Boyd, head coach, and Liam Barry, assistant coach. Now for our region's weather for the weekend. Hamilton, your Saturday will have showers becoming few and far between and westerly winds. Your expected high is 20 and an overnight low of 13. Saturday for you, Tauranga, there will be a few showers, clearing in the afternoon though, and the fresh westerly will ease. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 14. Hamilton, Sunday fine spells and a westerly breeze. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 12. Sunday for Tauranga, long fine spells and a westerly wind. Your expected high is 22 and an overnight low of 14. Just ahead, a local kidney kit. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. It is Kidney Kids Appeal Week. For over 21 years, they have provided emotional and practical support to kids and their families and currently support about 1,000 children with a kidney and/or urinary tract disease. I caught up with a local kidney kid and his mum. Helen, what is Matthew's kidney condition?
He has a multicystic dysplastic right kidney, which means that when it was being formed it was full of cysts and it's just dissolved into his body, so technically he only has one kidney.
Matthew, how does this kidney condition affect your everyday life?
It's basically normal, but you need to watch out from falling off trees or jungle gym or something. Just make sure not fall on your back, so you have to be more careful than other people.
So you can't play contact sports?
No, it's kind of just for my safety.
What kind of treatments did you originally have?
I'm not actually too sure, but yeah, one day I might have to have some from falls because sometimes they can get really bad and yeah.
How has Kidney Kids helped you?
It's good because it makes me feel more confident and make more friends and just get along with each other.
How did you find out about Kidney Kids?
I wrote a letter into Little Treasures magazine asking if anyone was aware of the condition that Matthew had, and Elaine from Kidney Kids rang me to introduce herself, told me about Kidney Kids, offered their support if we had any questions that we needed answering, just anything they could do to help, and it was just really nice to know that support was out there and that you're not alone.
When did you first know that something was wrong with Matthew's kidney?
When we went for our 20-week scan when I was pregnant with him, it showed up in the scan then.
How have Kidney Kids supported you?
Oh, fantastic. If Matthew had to go for tests and we were a bit confused or a bit unsure what was going to happen, they would tell us. If the doctors told us things and we didn't understand them, they would help with that. Just anything that you need, you've just got to give them a call and they will help you. It's really, really good to know, to have them on board.
So Matthew, tell us about the recent camp that you went on.
It's great. Everyone's nice there and the activities are great too. So much fun and it's great this year.
And what camp was this?
It was Kerry Park, I'm pretty sure, and there are a lot of activities you can do there, like rock climbing, kayaking, and there's a swimming hole which everybody goes to at night sometimes, which is great fun. And there's also a gymnasium, and the most common sport there is dodgeball, and everybody plays it basically.
How are you allowed to play dodgeball when you're not allowed to play contact sport?
With dodgeball, it's not really a sport where you kind of brand the balls, you know.
And I understand you met John Olomu there.
Yes, we took a camp photo and he was there that everyone brought home with them, and he was massive and hairy, and everybody tried to tackle him over and no luck came.
And what other fun stuff did you do there?
At the end we went to Rainbow's End and everybody loved it there. It was great.
Helen, tell us about the fun Christmas party event that they actually hold as well.
Oh, every year they have a Christmas party in different regions and it's fantastic. They include not just the kidney kid but parents and caregivers and siblings of the kidney child, and it's really good. They're so welcoming and it's a really great family-like environment for everybody.
Matthew, why do you think that people should donate to Kidney Kids?
Because everybody knows there are a lot worse people out there, and lots of people have kidney problems and they are sick in Starship Hospital and they really need other people's help.
And Mum, why do you think that people should donate to Kidney Kids?
It's a great cause. When you're a family with a child who has something wrong with them, you do feel like you're alone, and just having them at the end of the phone or on their website or wherever to help and support us and just know that they're there for the kids and for the families, and just to give, especially with the camps, give the kids opportunities that they probably never could have. It's just a really, really worthwhile cause.
Visit kidneykids.org.nz to donate. Just ahead, local government reform. Welcome back. The local government reform has been a hot topic with councils around the country. So we are bringing you a local government special where I have chatted with all the local mayors, and tonight is Waipa Mayor Alan Livingston. So there are different schools of thought on what the purpose of local government is. What do you think that the purpose of local government is?
From my perspective, it's unchanged from what it's always been with the four well-beings of social, economic, cultural and environmental. And if we base it around that, I don't see it as being any different to what it's been for quite a number of years.
And part of the local government reform is to reduce public debt and spending. What is your council doing to ensure that you stay out of debt? Well,
I guess it's interesting because the government has encouraged councils to maximise their balance sheets and to borrow. And it's prudent to borrow, especially when you've got some capital infrastructure which is costly and it has to be spent or paid for over the life of that infrastructure. So we're looking at intergenerational equity, which involves borrowing. So borrowing is a prudent thing to do for local government, but obviously at realistic levels.
Do you think an amalgamation of the councils in your area, like Auckland, would actually benefit your ratepayers?
Well, who's to know? I'd suggest initially not, and bear in mind that one size doesn't fit all. Auckland is one big city, and in the case of the Waikato, we're very diverse, from a metro of Hamilton to provincial towns like Cambridge and Matamata, to regional or service towns like Otorohanga and Tikawiti, villages, prime agricultural land down to hard coastal and horticultural land. So we're extremely diverse, and I don't see that what will work well for Auckland and was essential for Auckland will apply to the Waikato. Having said that, we're working as a mayoral forum to work through in an objective way to achieve what is the best outcome for our area.
Do you think an amalgamation runs the risk of losing representation?
Oh, it goes without saying that amalgamation will. Whether that's a bad thing or not remains to be seen, but the bottom line is yes, it will, and that's why in our mayoral forum research work we've set aside amalgamations and we'll see what comes out at the other end. So we're trying to work through it and achieve the best possible outcome for our region.
And what are some of the factors that you think have contributed to rate increases since 2003 nationally?
Well, since 2003 until about 2007, of course, there was huge growth nationally, and in particular in Waipa and the likes of Tauranga and Hamilton City. So clearly that was a big factor in requiring a lot of infrastructure to be provided. The costs of compliance are something that we're really faced with. That's passed on to us from central government, and the other thing is providing for depreciation of our assets, something which to me is essential, but it is a costly item. So they're probably the main contributors.
The latest Labour Cost Index shows that local government debt, local government costs rising over the past 3 years at nearly double the rate of the state core sector. What percentage of increases your council had in the last 3 years?
Well, this year we're proposing 3%. Last year it was 4.3 and the year before 4.5. So bear in mind that all of these increases are done with full consultation with our community. They know what they're getting and the reasons for it, and we've received acceptance for that. So there is a bigger picture to it, and of course when you compare the cost of living index in the case of local government with a lot of infrastructural work, it is balanced in that way to be higher than the general cost of living index.
The inflation and population rate will affect, will limit essentially the expenditure growth in the new reform. How will this affect the Waipa district? Well,
it's going to be a challenge because Waipa, interestingly, or perhaps and not surprisingly, is only one of 3 districts within the entire Waikato region where there's going to be positive population growth over the next 25 years. For example, Matamata Piako won't even have positive population growth. So that creates a fortunate situation for us, but it also creates challenges in that we've got to encourage growth and provide for it. So it'll be something there that councils of the future have to face up to.
Do you think it's the responsibility of the council to set NCA rates?
Well, certainly not, no, but not directly. But when I talked about the 4 well-beings, one of those was social and economic. And when you look at those, council has a a role to support those sorts of things, but certainly not directly. No, that's not for us. And of course, we're very fortunate within Waipa that we've got schools that are achieving very high results, so all we're going to be doing is encouraging them. What
about child abuse?
Well, yes, getting back to that well-being of social, and it is a real concern New Zealand-wide, and while we're fortunate within Waipa, it's there and we do have to be concerned about it. So we're working with police, social services and church groups, and collectively looking at a number of social issues, including child abuse, because one is too many.
What about greenhouse gases?
Yes, that's in our environmental well-being clearly, and it is something that we're very mindful of, and as a council we've got a policy on that to reduce it as much as possible, and also to encourage it district-wide.
We continue our local government special next week, kicking off on Monday with Mayor Neil Sinclair of the South Waikato District. Just ahead, National Immunisation Week. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. This week is National Immunisation Week. I went along to the hospitals to see what the week has been all about. Tiana, what is Immunisation Week?
Immunisation Week is internationally led by the World Health Organisation. New Zealand is one of 112 countries who are right behind it. It's about raising awareness around immunisation, the importance of it, and the overarching message is on time, every time.
And what is the community doing to get behind that Immunisation Week?
Here in the Bay of Plenty, we've got a whole range of things happening. The Eastern Bay have got community events happening down there, utilising whānau to be involved, vaccinations, etc. Here in Tauranga, the Western Bay of Plenty, we have T-shirt Tuesday. We all wear them on the Tuesday to get the message out there. We've got Māori Radio involved with interviews and local queer doing some advertising, promotions, presentations happening out there. We've also got displays everywhere throughout the community, so people are around who can answer questions if people have them around immunisations.
So can you run us through a list of the vaccines that are subsidised in New Zealand?
All of the childhood immunisations are subsidised. The influenza vaccine for adults and children is also subsidised, as well as a wide range of other immunisations. The childhood immunisations are given at 6 weeks, 3 months and 5 months, as well as 15 months and 4 years. And it's imperative that parents understand that 6 week, 3 month, 5 month immunisations be given as a group, that the child goes along on time, every time for all of those immunisations, as well as the 15-month and 4-year-old boosters.
And how do vaccines work?
Well, vaccines work by priming and preparing the immune system to respond rapidly and specifically to a natural infection. So they develop a whole range of antibodies and protective immune cells, and particularly immune memory cells, so that if that child were to come into contact with the infection in the future, the immune memory cells would recognise that the child had been immunised and protect that child.
Why do some people choose not to immunise their children?
I think that if we look at the national immunisation coverage rates, we'll see that mainly people choose to vaccinate their children. And here in the Bay of Plenty, we've got 88% of 8-month-olds fully immunised. We've got 2 national immunisation targets, one that's counted at 8 months of age and one that's counted at 2 years of age. And when we look at our target rates, we see that as I've said, 88% of the children here are vaccinated by 8 months of age, and up to nearly 90% or over 90% of the children at 2 years of age are vaccinated nationally. So when you're looking at the reasons that people choose not to vaccinate, there's only a small percentage of children choosing not to immunise. And the reasons may be many and varied. For a lot of people, it may be just that they require a bit more support around making that immunisation decision.
Does this put the public at risk?
Well, as we've seen by the local pertussis and measles outbreaks, clearly it does put our population at risk. So it's just as simple as getting those vaccinations on time every time. You get your first measles, mumps, rubella vaccination at 15 months of age, and it's recommended that you do so and get the vaccinations on time.
Can some people not be immunised?
Absolutely. There are reasons why people cannot be immunised, but most often these are precautions to immunisations. These are not absolute contraindications. An absolute contraindication to an immunisation would be anaphylaxis to a previous dose of the vaccine. A precaution may mean that the paediatrician involved with children who are immune suppressed, for example, may decide in the future that that child can be immunised. However, most likely what they'll do is they'll ring fence that child. They'll vaccinate all the people in the household that they can vaccinate to protect the child who's unable to be immunised at the time.
And what would your message be to those who choose not to vaccinate their children?
I'd say that a choice not to vaccinate is putting the child at risk of getting the vaccine preventable disease. But as I've said, the immunisation rates in the Bay of Plenty are very, very good. So it shows that most people do choose to vaccinate their child.
Now, you mentioned the pertussis vaccine, the whooping cough vaccine. So when is it advised that we should get that?
At 6 weeks, 3 months, 5 months, absolutely. And also there's a campaign that Pharmac is fronting at the moment, and that is that pregnant women between the ages between the 28 and 38 weeks of pregnancy are recommended to have that vaccine, which is also free of charge. In other DHBs, there's slight variation on the theme, but that nationally, that is what Pharmac are promoting, that pregnant women between 28 and 38 weeks gestation have the vaccine.
Are we still at epidemic stage with whooping cough?
Absolutely. We are absolutely still having an epidemic, and until such time, we need to vaccinate all of the people that can be immunised with the vaccine on time, every time.
And what immunisations are free in New Zealand?
All of the childhood immunisations that we see on the National Immunisation Schedule are free for children from the age of 6 weeks up to the age of 18 years. So that means that they can have all of their vaccinations at 6 weeks, 3 months, 5 months, 15 months and 4 years of age. And again at school they'll be offered immunisations at 11 years of age. So it's imperative that parents choose to have all of those immunisations, particularly the 6 week, 3 month, 5 month immunisations, on time, every time. And just stressing that all of those childhood immunisations are free. So there's no reason that you can't go along to the medical centre and develop a relationship with the health professionals at the centre if you've got more questions to ask about timing of immunisations.
The Ministry of Health website has all the information you need for vaccination schedules. That is the news for today and this week. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back next week with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Tuasul. Have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.